Limits of the Flesh, Chapter 10, Fantasy Fiction by Azazyel. Rias finally sighed and shrugged. Honestly, so long as you make sure they won't become a diplomatic incident, I will look away. But do not touch or use civilians for some deranged experiment, or even I won't be able to protect you. Rias warned me and I nodded. I don't do flesh crafting out of some kind of sadism. I am using resources to better our defenses and making entities that can fight for us. I won't touch normal civilians, as for one I would only use enemies for my work, but also normal humans simply have nothing about them that would make them a viable monster in any case. I said, dismissing the dragonoid arm I created along with my sacred gear. Hearing my words, Rias's eyes twerked up and she asked me what kind of monsters I could create. Hearing her tone and how the rest were looking a bit nonplussed at my whole monster-creating actions, I smiled as I realized the easiest way to clear up the confusion. Do you already have a teleportation point at my apartment? I asked, and Rias nodded, so I looked over to Aquino. Can we all teleport to my home? I want to introduce you to my first servant. I asked, and everyone seemed to be at least somewhat interested. Alright, let's go then, I said, and Aquino firmly held onto my arm as the whole peerage came together and stood in a magical circle that flashed over us, and I was welcomed by a gust of wind from now being outside. Alright, my servant's name is Monet, and she is a total sweetie, so be nice, she isn't used to strangers yet. I explained, with Rias and the girls sharing a look of confusion at how I supposedly made a female monster out of a male corpse. As I turned the lock and opened the door, I could already hear the crappy apartment wooden door to my bedroom slam and crack as Monet all but sprinted out of the bedroom crying out, "Master is back!" Then, with Rias and the others behind me, I could only groan as the 250 pounds of condensed muscular harpy shaped like short girl rammed into me so hard I could feel me sliding backward on the smooth concrete outside my apartment, to the point one of the girls behind me had to stop me from bowling them over. Ugh, Monet! Get off! You are being bad. I scolded, making her literally freeze in my arms with holy ice and snow pooling around to surround me. No. Monet is a good girl. Master isn't allowed to leave me again. Monet was scared and lonely. The green-haired busty girl cried as she attempted to seemingly suffocate me in her feathery wings, like a dog who reunited with their owners after a week-long vacation would be jumping all over them. But the most damning thing was Rias facepalming at the sad sight of my poor body giving up the ghost and being smashed into the ground by the massive pile of holy ice and snow weighing me down, with Monet making her displeased of me leaving her alone very clear. Here I thought you had some disgusting zombies or something. You fucking made a single stash waifu. Rias yelled, exasperated, and I remembered how DxD actually had a lot of anime and comics from other popular universes like Dragon Ball, even if the series names were changed. Who are they, master? Are they here to steal Monet's master? Monet asked softly, and in response, her wings glowed with uncorrupted holy light in fear of that scenario happening, and the devils hissed at the sight, with their eyes probably burning at the sight. Stay away from her, snow and ice, I made it wholly attributed as well, I warned them, groaning as I sat up and finally broke free of Monet's ice holding me with a subtle flash of power of destruction that escaped everyone's gaze as they were spellbound by the sight of the holy glacial phoenix girl I made. Why are you fine being surrounded by holy energy? Rias cried as she finally realized I was coated in the holy ice and snow, and my heart warmed as I saw her and Aquino trying to use wind elemental magic to blow off the holy snow and ice. Wait, I am fine. I yelled as I was buffeted by the wind and was busy holding the struggling form of Monet, who obviously thought they were attacking us or something. I am fine. I repeated as I hurriedly pushed Monet inside the apartment so none of the neighbors decided to see what the hell all the racket was about. Look, remember I have a unicorn heritage, holy doesn't affect me even as I turned into a devil, I said as made my golden light from my unicorn life force ability come to the fore, and then just to test my words Kaneko walked over and stuck a finger into some errant snow and hissed, quickly withdrawing as her finger turned purple. Yup, that's a holy burn. Or frostbite in this case, Kaneko muttered as she held on to her smarting finger. Kaneko, can I heal that real quick? I offered as I led everyone into the apartment. Monet, stay in my room for a bit. I will be with you for the rest of the night after I talk with my friends. I explained as I finally managed to push my pouting monster into my small bedroom. Fine. But if you do anything perverted, I will smash you. Kaneko warned as she held out her hand, and as I took it, I felt the other peerage members watching carefully as my golden light of vitality covered her deceptively dainty hand that I knew could shatter concrete and trees without issue, and after but a few moments of being covered in my healing light I pulled away the corrosive holy light that was harming Kaneko. "There you go," I said as I withdrew, and Rias quickly took her rook's hand into her own despite the younger girl's complaints that she was fine, but Rias was very caring of her peerage's well-being and didn't give a damn about her complaints. While Rias was fussing over Kaneko, Akino and Kiba had already practically made themselves at home, and it was only when Kiba spoke freely if not kind of rudely that I could only shrug. "This is a pretty basic apartment, isn't it?" he asked. "Well, I only came here to Japan for schooling and my scholarship wasn't all that great," I said, shrugging, as what little money the alternate Jake left for me was only enough for the bare essentials and was plain that I needed to find my own resources. Or more likely join Rias's peerage and get an allowance from her family's accounts. "Kiba, don't be rude," Akino chided, making the blonde knight dip his head to me in an unspoken apology as Akino continued to speak. "Jake, I have some spare rooms in the temple I live within, and there are even some spare rooms in the clubhouse," Akino offered, but I didn't think they would appreciate whatever little creations I decided to let roam around. "Monet is a bundle of fluff and affection despite her strength, but some of the other creations I may create may not be that friendly, so I will have to say no." "Sorry, Akino," I said sincerely, and she nodded in understand. "Wait, so you plan on creating more waifus from fictional universes?" Rias asked me excitedly, all but teleporting across the room in her excitement and pushing me onto the couch as she fell onto me with no care but the obsessive desire to see her waifus from other worlds brought to life. "I mean, yeah," I responded weakly, and we both stiffened as we heard Monet grumbling from the cracked open door. "Master is going to mate with the tomato head. Is it because she has bigger boobs than Monet? Jake makes perverted monster girls, so he is obviously a pervert haa." Kaneko grumbled, sighing as though learning I was somehow a pervert was some foregone conclusion or something, and learning it now both disappointed her and met her expectations. "Kaneko, I am not a pervert. I am a man of culture," I said as seriously as I could, with Rias shaking me via the collar with demands for me to make her a Super Saiyan peerage member, which was a hard no. "I want Vegeta as a rook. No, I want Tamamonome from FGO as a bishop. No, King Artoria Alter, as a knight," she almost hysterically demanded as she bounced in my lap as she all but vibrated in excitement before Akino loudly coughed to get her king's attention. "Rias, stop being a weeb and let Jake talk so you don't get him off with how much you are bouncing on him, Bufufu." Akino laughed behind a closed hand as Rias, realizing finally our very compromising post-ion, blushed a red that matched her crimson hair and slowly got off of me as though I was going to yell at her myself. "Well, Rias," I started off, but seeing Monet still staring at us through a crack in the door and remembering I told her to stay inside my room, none of my orders specified that she needed to keep the door closed and not be a creeper, I just waved her over. "Monet, come over here," I ordered, the holy cryo harpy running over to tuck herself under my arm on the other side of me from Rias and stick her tongue out at the king of my peerage as though she won some kind of imaginary battle. "Rias, I don't really mind making you a peerage member, familiar or anything else, but I need supernatural biomass for my work, and it was only the Fallen's body that allowed me to make my darling Monet," I said, patting my servant on her green-haired head, making her coo in enjoyment at the feeling. "Fine. After we deal with the Fallen you have to make me a super strong rook or knight then," Rias all but begged, taking one of my hands and pulling it into her chest as her watery blue eyes stared up to me, and I realized why Surzex may have become a siscon with how adorable Rias's begging face was. All right. I will make you a knight then, I guess," I agreed, and then was surprised and even Monet yelled as Rias dived in and gave me a peck to cheek for my promise. "We sealed this devil deal with a kiss, so no take-backs," she said, blushing before pulling back. Well, Rias," Akino teased as she covered her wide grin with a hand. "I didn't know you liked Jake so much already. Or are you just willing to pay with your body to get fake copies?"